The cannabis advertising giant Weedmaps is going public on the NASDAQ via a SPAC. The merger with blank check acquisition firm Silver Spike Acquisition values Weedmaps at $1.5 billion. Joining me now is Chris Beals. He is CEO of WM Holding, the parent company of Weedmaps. And Chris, so good to have you on the show. All right, so right out of the gate, tell us, why is now the right time to go public, and why do it with a SPAC?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're a 12-year-old company. We've been profitable our whole history, so we have a lot of momentum. I think for us, the thing that was important is, this is a momentous time for cannabis. We're the cannabis marketplace meets SaaS provider, and we're right on the cusp with President Biden coming in. New heights in terms of cannabis legalization, expansion, and frankly, the need for our suite of SaaS products for businesses. And so being able to reach a new audience of institutional investors and then sort of go out and have dry powder for expansion, it was really, it felt like a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, you mentioned SaaS. For people who are unfamiliar, part of what you do is you sell a cloud-based operating system for marijuana businesses. So tell us, what will the proceeds from this stock sale help Weedmaps be able to do?
Yeah, I think that the real name of the game right now, because with the number of new states we see on the horizon opening up, as well as expansion within these existing states that don't have enough retailers, I think having dry powder and optionality is really key. And part of that is, frankly, being able to invest more heavily in the people we have. We are, an engineering, product, and design shop. And so being able to expand that, potentially maybe accretive acquisitions and that sort of thing. But I would say just making sure that we're able to be as ubiquitous as possible at the exact moment each of these new markets look like they're going to open up. And that's really what this enables for us.
Chris, with new leadership in the White House, Democratic control of Congress, what impact do you think it's going to have on the cannabis industry?
Yeah, I mean, this was a momentous election for the cannabis industry at large. I think we'll see a couple things. I think one, in November, we had 6 ballot initiatives in 5 states. All of those passed, opening up legalization. That's places like New Jersey, Mississippi, South Dakota, Arizona. So first of all, those are going to come into effect. But separately, there are a lot of states that just don't have enough licenses yet. Illinois is a great example of this, where they're looking to move forward. And I think what we're hearing from our policy team and folks on the ground is that this is being seen as an impetus for these jurisdictions to either increase the pace of licensing if they're already open, or if they haven't, to move forward with licensing. And then the federal level, look, I think ultimately the polling of voters has always been high, over 90% support for medical, at this point almost 70% support for adult use. It's just a matter of moving it through. So I think now with Democratic control across all 3, both houses and presidential administration, I think you can see things like safe banking, as well as, yes, potentially federal legalization come into the view.
All right. Yeah, I'd love to get your take on the psychedelic substance space. It's been getting a lot of attention from investors. In fact, tomorrow, the first psychedelic ETF is going to be launching. Do you see that as competition at all for the cannabis industry in terms of getting investor attention and investor dollars?
Yeah, I mean, for us, as a software and tech company, I think people get the power of it, the two-sided marketplace we control, and the SaaS piece. The tough part is always the intersection of explaining how that applies to an industry, especially highly regulated industries. Look, I think there are potentially some similarities in the psychedelic space, which is that for all intents and purposes, this is a pharmaceutical product, and it's going to need pharmaceutical class solutions. It's going to need education of consumers about a substance that they're ultimately going to put in their mouth or ingest in some way. And so, I think to that end, it's thematically complementary to what we do. I think in terms of how that market and how that industry plays out. I mean, look, cannabis has taken, 1996 was when California first passed Prop 215. So I think we're really in the, not even the first inning, the warm up before the game when it comes to something like psychedelics.
All right. And I want to talk for a moment about headwinds, because I know that Weedmaps is the focus of a grand jury subpoena investigation, along with about a few dozen other cannabis-related companies. And some legal experts say this could be a milestone case. It could possibly set legal precedent for the industry. Do you see that as a risk for the industry and your company in particular going forward?
No, I don't see it that way at all. I mean, look, while we don't comment on specific legal matters, I think what I can say is that, ultimately we're a compliance software company. We will build compliance into everything we do. And I think while given our size and our dominant position, it's natural to receive inquiries. I mean, that's just part of, I think, the industry at large. But really, I think there are two things that we see. One is with the incoming presidential administration, focusing on a path towards legalization is sort of, I think, the direction we're going to see at the federal level. And separately, I think along with that, it's going to be an emphasis on criminal justice reform. And when we look at the priorities of this administration, I think it's really going to be around how do we get to federal legalization? How do we sort of redress the historical harms of the war on drugs?
All right, we're going to leave it there. Chris Beals, CEO of the parent company of Weedmaps. Thanks for being with us, and we're going to look out for your market debut in the second quarter. Best of luck.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.